Hello everyone and welcome to A Moment in Math. My name is Amy Pinkerton and I'm the K-5 Math Professional Development Coordinator for the University of Mississippi and the Mississippi Department of Education. And I am so excited to be here with you today because I have a huge problem and I really need your help solving it. But before I can tell you what my problem is, let's head over to our PowerPoint to take a look at what we'll be learning about today. Today's lesson is all about finding volume. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, Miss Pinkerton, I don't even know what volume is, much less how to find it, do not worry. We're going to take a look at this together and figure it out as a team. The first thing I want to tell you is that the standards we're going to be looking at today are the 5th grade standards from the measurement and data domain. Take a look at these standards for just a second, and then we're going to look at them together. Okay, so if you're sitting there reading through those standards and you're thinking, oh my giddy aunt, there are so many words in here that I am not familiar with and so many skills I don't know how to do. Don't sweat it. I've actually taken these math standards and broken them down into 3 specific goals for our lesson today. In the first goal, we're going to be finding the volume of a rectangular prism by packing it with unit cubes. Our second goal is to find the volume of a rectangular prism by multiplying the edge lengths. And our third goal is to find the volume of a rectangular prism to solve real-world problems. Totally a piece of cake. All right, so you're probably dying to know at this point what my problem is, but before we take a look at that, I want to show you some of the vocabulary terms you want to keep in mind as we're moving throughout this lesson. The first word you'll hear a lot of today is dimension. Now, dimension means a measurement of length in one direction. We could be talking about the length of an object, the width of an object, or the height of an object. So as you can see in my picture here, I've highlighted the length of this cube. So that is one of its dimensions. The next term you'll hear a lot is three-dimensional. And as you can see there, it actually has the word dimension in it. Three-dimensional means having 3 dimensions like any object in the real world. So if any object, like the picture you see here, has height, width, and length, then it is a 3-dimensional object. So let's think about this for a second. An apple is a 3-dimensional object. A pencil is a 3-dimensional object. Your dog Flu is a 3-dimensional object because it has height, width, and length. The next term you'll hear a lot is rectangular prism. And this is a solid 3-dimensional object that has 6 faces that are rectangles. Now, if you're thinking, I'm not exactly sure what you're saying here, think about this. We just learned that a 3-dimensional object is an object that has height, width, and length. So basically, this is a rectangle that has height, width, and length. Now, this vocabulary term is extremely important because it's what we're talking about in today's lesson. The word volume means the amount of 3-dimensional space that something takes up. Unit cube is a cube whose sides are 1 unit long. So as you can see in my picture there, I've highlighted the one side of that cube and it measures 1 centimeter. So you can have a unit cube whose sides are 1 centimeter long, 1 meter long, or 1 inch long. But as long as it's 1 unit long, we refer to it as a unit cube. And the last one we want to take note of is cubic units. This is the measure of volume or capacity. So we might say that a box has 6 cubic centimeters, 14 cubic inches, or 27 cubic meters. Okay, so I've been teasing you this whole time about what my problem is that I really need your help in solving. Let's take a look at this video to see what my problem is.
Guess what? I am so excited because I recently bought a new house. I love it so much because it is perfect for me. Well, perfect for me and my dog and rabbit, of course. I'm realizing that I have a lot of stuff. I have dresses and jackets and pants and shoes and lamps and picture frames and books and more books and books. You get the idea. The stuff I have to pack, I started to worry. I thought, this is going to take a lot of packing boxes. Here's the thing. I called the moving truck rental company to find out how much it will cost to rent a moving truck, and they said they charge different amounts of money for different sized trucks. The first truck option costs $25 to rent. The second truck option costs $30 to rent, and the third truck option costs $40 to rent. I don't want to spend more money than I have to, but I definitely want a truck that's big enough for all my boxes. So, here's my problem. Which of these 3 moving trucks should I rent?
Okay, so you know what my problem is. Let's take a look at it together. Mrs. Pinkerton is moving to her new house. She has a lot of stuff to take with her in her packing boxes. Which moving truck should she use? So this is my big problem, and it's what I really need you to help me solve. So let's think about this for just a second. If I need to choose a moving truck based on its size, then what are a few questions that I need to answer first before I can make that big decision? What do you think? What are some questions we need to answer before I can choose which size moving truck would be best for me? Oh my gosh. Did I hear you say, what is the volume of each packing box? You are brilliant. That is amazing. Yes. If I need to determine which truck is going to fit my boxes, first I need to know how much space each packing box is going to take up. All right. So if I figure out the volume of each packing box, what is the next question I need to answer in order to pick the correct moving truck? Oh my giddy aunt, I could have sworn I heard someone say, what is the total volume of all of my packing boxes? Give yourself a pat on the back. You are totally awesome sauce. Okay, so these are the 2 questions that I need to answer. What is the volume of each packing box? And what is the total volume of all of the packing boxes? Once I answer those 2 questions, I'll be able to answer this big question. What is the cheapest moving truck that will hold all of my packing boxes? As you can see here, truck A I can rent for $25, and it will hold 35,848 cubic inches of stuff. Truck B I can rent for $30, and it will hold 65,900 cubic inches of stuff. And the last truck, truck C, I can rent for $40, and it holds 89,600 cubic inches of stuff. Okay, so we know my problem here, and we know the questions that I need to answer in order to make a choice. So I'm really depending on your help. Are you ready to get started? Awesome. Let's head back to the table and get started. Okay, so I told you that I've been packing up all of my stuff and seeing how much stuff I really have. And when I started packing, I saw something and I was like, oh my gosh, that might be really helpful. This is what I found. Take a look at this. I mean, are you noticing anything? Oh my gosh, who said that? You are brilliant. Okay. You're exactly right. Let's take a look at this blue box. It has length, it has width, and it has height. What did we say in our vocabulary review would be an object that has 3 dimensions like that? Length, width, and height. If you said 3-dimensional, give yourself a pat on the back. That is amazing. Okay, now I think some of you are probably noticing something else about this object. What do you think? Let me turn it around for you. Notice anything? If you noticed that all of the faces on this 3-dimensional object are rectangles, you are amazing. Yes, do you remember from a vocab what we call a 3-dimensional object whose faces are all rectangles? Nicely done. Rectangular prism is exactly right. Okay, so I got really pumped when I saw this because my packing boxes are exactly the same shape. They're rectangular prisms also. So I thought maybe this could help us determine the volume of my packing boxes. Okay, awesome. I'm so glad I brought it. Okay, so we need to figure out the volume. You know, I brought some other math tools. Maybe I should pull those out. Okay, I always keep my toolbox of trusty math tools. Okay, so I've got a lot of stuff in here. Let's see what might help us out here. Okay, I've got my rectangular prism. I have a coordinate grid. I have a base 10 block. Let's see, I have some linking chains. I have some fake money. I don't know. Oh my gosh, do you know what I'm remembering? Wasn't our first goal for this video was to, let's see, it said I can find the volume of a rectangular prism by packing it with unit cubes. Oh my gosh, look what I have here. Okay, if it's possible to use this with my rectangular prism to determine its volume, let's make sure first that this is actually a unit cube. So we know that a unit cube is a three-dimensional object. So let's check the dimensions and make sure this is one. It has length, it has width, and it has height. So it's definitely a three-dimensional object. I also see that each of its sides is 1 unit long, 1 inch to be exact. So yes, okay, so this is a unit cube, and this is perfect because one of the ways we can find the volume of a rectangular prism like this is by packing it with unit cubes. Okay, so will you count with me? Awesome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now I want to show you this bottom layer because we're about to cover it up, and so I want to make sure you can see. So that on this bottom layer of the rectangular prism, we have 15 unit cubes. Let's keep going until it's full. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. We were able to pack this rectangular prism with 30 unit cubes. Okay, I'm going to write this down so we don't forget. Okay, so I've got my chart for the blue box here. How many unit cubes did we say? Nicely done. So we have 30 unit cubes. And what that means is the volume of our blue box, or the amount of space that it takes up, is 30 cubic inches. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Okay, thank y'all so much for your help. Okay, this was just to practice with, but I'm gonna go grab my packing boxes so we can do the same thing. I'll be right back. Okay, so I went to the home improvement store and I got a lot of these packing boxes, and they're all the same size because they're perfect for me. So, in order to figure out the volume of each of these packing boxes, I'm just gonna fill them with unit cubes, just like we did here. Okay, all right, here we go. You count with me. 1, wait a second. These are really small. Like, I only have like 5 left, and really all 30 of these will fit in one tiny corner of this box. Man, that's not gonna work. What am I gonna do? I mean, it was so easy to fill this rectangular prism with unit cubes, and now I don't have enough or large enough to do that with my packing boxes. What did you say? Oh my giddy aunt, are you kidding me right now? You're exactly right. Okay, our first goal was that we could find the volume of a rectangular prism by packing it with unit cubes. But our second goal, as you just reminded me, was we can also find the volume of a rectangular prism by multiplying its side lengths or dimensions. You are amazing. Why aren't you teaching this lesson? Okay, you are exactly right, and that's amazing. But let's do something before we try that with the packing boxes. If it is true that we can find the volume by packing with unit cubes and by multiplying the side lengths, let's give this a try and see if we still get the same answer. Remember, we were able to pack this blue box with 30 unit cubes, which means that our volume was 30 cubic inches. Let's multiply the side lengths and see if we get the same answer. Okay, you ready to look with me? So, our edges here, we have our length, we have our width, and we have our height. So let's count the length first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. Let's put that on our chart. Our length running this way is 5. Now let's count our width running this way. 1, 2, 3. Put that on the chart. And our last dimension, of course, is height. Now, remember, we have 2 layers in here, and they can be kind of difficult to see. So I'm going to take one out just to remind you that there is 1 layer in the box, and I've added a 2nd layer to the top, which means my height running this way is 1, 2. Let's add that to our chart. Okay, so I have all 3 of my dimensions here. I have my length, I have my width, and I have my height. This is awesome. Okay, so apparently, according to the standard and according to our goal, we should be able to multiply those dimensions and get the same volume. Let's give it a try. Okay, so my length is 5, my width is 3, and my height is 2. Let's multiply together. 5 times 3 is what? Nicely done. 5 times 3 is 15. All right, now let's multiply that by our height. 15 times 2 is, very nicely done. Y'all are amazing. Okay, so take a look right here. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. So that tells me that what we thought is exactly correct. We can find the volume of a rectangular prism by packing it with unit cubes, but also by multiplying these side lengths or dimensions. Y'all, this is awesome. That means when we have a rectangular prism for which we don't have the right unit cubes, we don't have to pack it with anything. We can just look at the dimensions. So let's do that. I know I'm gonna need another trusty tool to figure out my length, width, and height of my packing boxes. So let's do it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to measure, I'm going to measure my length first, and I've got my ruler out here, and it is 11 inches. So I'm going to write that on our chart. Okay, so I've got my packing box here. There's my length, and now my width, and that is 10 inches, which I will add here. And then my last dimension is, of course, my height, and it is 12. Okay, now let's take these dimensions and plug them into our formula for finding volume. What was our length? 11, nicely done. And our width? 10 inches, excellent. And our last dimension was 12 for our height. Let's multiply these out. Okay, here we go. 11 times 10 is 110. Very nicely done. And now 110 times 12. Anyone? Working with a lot larger numbers here. But if you said 1,320, you are exactly right. Beautifully done. Okay, so this means even without unit cubes to pack my box with, I know that the volume of my packing box is 1,320 cubic inches. Y'all are absolutely amazing. Okay, all right, so this is incredible. Y'all are such a big help to me. Okay, so let's take a look back at what our 2 questions were. Our first question we had to answer was, what is the volume of each packing box? Well, we just answered that here, so let me go ahead and record that. 1,320 cubic inches, okay? Now we said the second question that we have to answer is, what is the total volume of all of the packing boxes? Because I'll tell you right now, I bought a lot of boxes, okay? I told you, lots of stuff. Okay, so let's think about this for a second. We know the volume of each box, but I actually bought, ready for this? 65 boxes. So what do we need to do to find out the total volume of every single box that I have? Oh my giddy aunt, who said multiply? You are brilliant. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the volume of one box and multiply it by all the boxes that I have. Now, I know these are really large numbers and we don't have time to get into a lot of heavy multiplication today, but I will tell you that 1,320 times 65 is 85,800 cubic inches. Look at this. Look at what you did. Okay, so we've answered these two really important questions. So are you ready to help me choose a moving truck now? Let's head back to our PowerPoint and take a look at our choices. All right, so if you remember here, we have truck A, truck B, and truck C. All of my packing boxes combined take up 85,800 cubic inches of space. So which truck is the best for what I need? Oh my giddy aunt, y'all are amazing. If you said truck C, you are absolutely brilliant. And again, I want to know why you're not teaching this lesson yourself. Y'all are awesome. Okay, let's not stop with the fun though. Before we get to the end of this lesson, let's do a little practice with that since that's something you've gotten so good with. Look at this rectangular prism here. Now for this one, I'm not actually filling it with unit cubes, but as you can see, it's already been packed with those unit cubes. So what do you think we could do here to figure out the volume of this rectangular prism? Who said that you could count the unit cubes? You are amazing. All right, so let's do this together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I know we see that there are 6 unit cubes in that top layer, but it can be kind of difficult to see the ones underneath. So what do we do in that instance? Well, we pay attention to the layers. I see that there are 6 unit cubes on that top layer, and I see there's a second layer and a third. Well, what does that mean? If I have 6 unit cubes 3 times, how many unit cubes is that? Did you say 18? Give yourself a pat on the back. That means that the volume of this rectangular prism is 18 cubic centimeters. All right, you think you're so good. Let's take a look at this one. Now this one does not have the unit cubes. We'll consider it one of my packing boxes. So if it doesn't have the unit cubes, how do we figure out the volume of this rectangular prism? You are exactly right. We're going to multiply the side lengths or dimensions to get our volume. So I see here that my length is how many centimeters? Nicely done, 3 centimeters. What about my width? 2 centimeters, excellent. And my last dimension I'm looking for is my height, and it is 3 centimeters. So nicely done. All right, let's multiply those out and see what we get. 3 times 2 is 6. Well done. And 6 times 3 is 18. Very nicely done, which tells us that the volume of this rectangular prism is 18 cubic centimeters. Seriously, y'all are absolutely amazing. All right, again, I just want to tell you that I'm Amy Pinkerton and I have had so much fun with you today. I also want to give a little shout out to Doodly, which is the program I used to create the video that you saw earlier, and also to PowerPoint School, which was the amazing people that made available this free PowerPoint template. All right, so yes, you guys all did such an amazing job. Thank you very much for being here today and for helping me solve my moving problem. And not only did you help me solve my problem, but you also learned how to find volume in a way that could be really helpful for you one day. I mean, think about it. If you're ever preparing to move and your family's trying to decide which moving truck to rent, you can be like, please, I've got this covered. Thanks. I'll see you next time on A Moment in Math.